There we go.
All right. And are you able to hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect. So, thank you for the introduction. As you mentioned, we are here to discuss leadership. And so, as you know, today's topic is leaders lead. And so, we're going to dive into mindset, strategy, and habits that'll help you be a more effective leader and more intentional leader. And so, with that, I'm going to talk about what's coming up on the agenda. Oh, sorry, went all the way to the end. All right. So, when it comes to mindset, we're going to dive into leading from the inside out. And I'll explain more about what that means. And when it comes to strategies, we're going to talk about perf- impact over perfection. I think a lot of times, especially as women, we strive for perfection, but I want you to strive for impact. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can make your impact more effective by managing not only your time, but your energy. And when it comes to habits, we're going to lean into effective leadership habits from the perspective of intention and repetition. So, with that, let's have a real talk about leadership. And I want this to be somewhat engaging. So, I don't want anyone to come off of mute, but I want you to use your chat. And I want you to answer this question honestly, as if it were just you and I in the room. Are you a leader? Let's see, I'm not able to see the
We have quite
chat.
a few yeses.
Reese, I will make you co-host so you can also see, but
Okay, thank you.
everybody can.
Yep, think that'll be helpful because I
Okay.
do want to
Our
be
co-host now.
engaging with the audience today. All right, I'm able to see that now. I see yeses, yeses, yeses. Okay, so if there was anyone who was inclined to answer no, I want to challenge you to think differently. And that is because whether you are a leader of one or many, of self or others, you are a leader because you are leading in some area of your life, whether it's home, work, at church, in the community. There is someone watching you, someone looking up to you, someone is taking mental notes on how you do what you do. So whether you own it, and I didn't say know it, whether you own it or not, you are a leader. And so then the real question I should have asked is then, sorry, I keep jumping. The real question I should have asked is, are you an intentional leader? And so that's where I said we're going to dig into intention and repetition. Because whether or not you are intentional in your leadership determines how you are received as an effective and confident leader. And so let's talk about effective, confident leadership so that we're all on the same playing ground when it comes to mindset and leading from the inside out. And I have my presentation on this screen. So if you see me looking to my left, your right, that's what I'm doing. So let's talk about the confident leadership trifecta, or what I call the confidence trifecta. So I love threes. And so when it comes to leadership, I think of it in terms of three things: clarity, your competence, and courage. Now, when it comes to clarity, it's really being clear on what your true north is. What are your core values? Usually, we have a top 3 to 5. And those will change over time. So it's not about picking just the right ones. It's all about timing, the stage you are in your life and your career, and what's most important to you at the time. So we're going to talk we're going to dig into what clarity looks like and how do you get clarity. When it comes to competence, I really want you to understand that, especially for women, a lot of our confidence comes from our competence. And this is for men too, but especially for women because we always have to overwork to get the same recognition. So when it comes to confidence, if you want to be a confident leader, you have to dig into your competence. You have to be willing to learn something new and interesting every day. And then when it comes to courage, the third element of the trifecta, you have to be willing to take bold action. And we're going to talk about all of these three things on the next coming slides. So I want to do a quick activity again. I want you all to use your chat. And these are just a few leadership values. I want you to quickly look at the list and write in the chat your top 3 to 5. And I just want to see what you guys are coming up with. So I'll give you a few seconds for those of you who can chat. Write in your top 3 to 5 core values. Some of you may have never done this exercise before. Some of you may not have done it recently. So you'll notice that sometimes your values will change, and that's fine. But if you're able to use the chat, go ahead and type that in. And Rob, I'm not able, okay, now I'm seeing it. Okay, discipline, yes. Empathy, respect. Yolanda, passion, I love that. Passion, Monique. Yes, integrity. Yes, as real estate professionals, integrity is very important. Encouragement, I love that, Renee. Pamela, respect. Yes, that's one of mine. Wisdom, service, fairness. Thank you, Dolores. Accountability. Wonderful, wonderful. So this is what I want you guys to do on a periodic. Wonderful, Dorinda. Gratitude. I love that. Yes, we're going to talk about gratitude. So perfect. This is perfect. I love you. Keep it up. Keep it coming, guys. Resourcefulness. Yes, that's one of mine. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So I really want you guys to do that because you have to level set. You have to have a foundation. You have to have a true north. And that is going to drive every important leadership decision that you're going to have to make in your business and in life. And so it's important for us to do this exercise periodically every now and then, because as I said, your values, your top 5 will cycle. They'll change periodically based on where you are in life. And so in order to be an effective, confident leader, you have to know what those are at any point in time. So wonderful. Great job, everyone. So the question I have for you now that some of you have an awareness of what your values are today, ask yourself, do your actions reflect those values? And this can be in your interactions at home. This can be in your interactions at work with your clients. This can be in your interactions with CABREP and volunteer community organizations at church. You always want to be remembering that you are a brand, and your brand speaks your values to the world. And so I really want you to lean into getting clear and having clarity on what your true north is. And we'll talk about why that's important. Shifting now to competence. Now, a leader aligned with their core values is intentional and integral. But when it comes to confidence, you, as a real estate agent, specifically, I think some of the things that came to mind were industry knowledge. How are you investing time to make sure you're constantly up to date on your industry knowledge, market trends? Are you quick with valuations? Are you insightful and engaging with your negotiations? And so with negotiations, there's actually a wonderful women's program that Dr. Yasmin Davids has called Women in Negotiation. And I can provide this as a resource at the end to any of you women who are interested. But an interesting thing that I've learned through her teachings and teachings from the MBA program at USC is that in negotiation, you actually want to be the person who listens the most. And Dr. Yasmin has an interesting exercise that she has us women go through where she partners us with another person, and they have a role to play and you have a role to play. And neither of you has the same information. So there's information bias on both sides. When we don't listen first, we miss the fact that other people might have, the other person on the other side might have challenges. They might have issues that they're dealing with that will cause them to want to negotiate in a different way than you might think. They may have to sell quickly. They may have to, sell at a discount, but they know it, but you don't. And so when we're in negotiations, it's important to really consider, am I listening more than I'm talking? And am I hearing what they're saying as much as what they're not saying? And so if there's anyone interested in that, I can share more. When it comes to competence, I also want you all to focus in on your digital literacy. Now, I give my husband, Robert Johnson, a lot of applause because he spends time, I would say, I think almost every day with new technologies, new AI tools, and trying to figure out how he can incorporate those into his marketing strategies. And that is a quality of a resourceful and competent leader. And so I challenge you all to lean into new technologies. It doesn't take a lot. And again, it's impact, not perfection. So just 5 to 15 minutes a day learning something new is going to put you in the position to be ahead of your peers. And then with competence is brand development. And I put brand development here because I know there's a saying a lot of people tell you that says it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, over the course of my career, I've learned that it's not either or. It's not just who you know, and it's not just what you know. It's who knows what you know when you're not in the room. So brand development, specifically for real estate agents, because everybody knows a realtor, but not everybody knows a realtor with your competence, with your intelligence, with your experience to be able to negotiate those, complex deals. So who knows what you know will set you apart in any situation. So with that will be competence. And our last one, my favorite, is courage. So a lot of us think of courage as a characteristic, a quality, but I like to think of courage as an action word, actually a verb, because without action, there is no display of courage. And so when it comes to courage, particularly, initiative is very important. So I want to share that Mel said I went back to school to get my MBA, and he talked about, my 2 decades of service before that. So I am in my 40s, and I applied to USC Marshall Business School in my 40s. And the odds were all against me. The average student's age was 22 to 26, 27 at the time. The average test scores were on nearly 100%, and I didn't even take the test. I didn't even take the GMAT. I asked for a waiver because of my years of experience and time out of school. I still applied for the full ride scholarship through the consortium, and I got it, even though there were so many other students they could have given it to. But Not only did I write excellent essays, not only did I have excellent referrals from community organizations, my own boss at the time, who I let know that I was applying to business school, that I would be leaving in advance. I also knew someone. I actually knew several people at the university, actually within Marshall School of Business, who could vouch for me. And so that's why I said it's not just who you know or what you know, it's who knows what you know that's going to speak for you in the room when you're not there. And so, initiative, be proactive. Don't consider the odds. Just voluntarily do things that scare you, that no one else wants to do. Commencement speaker. I don't know how many people applied, but I know that I did. I know that I put in the time to write my speech, to present it, and I got it. And I don't know how many other people thought about it, but didn't go forward. And then they didn't get the opportunity. So be the one to do the thing that no one else wants to do. Bold action is a part of that, right? So do something that you're afraid of. A lot of people will say, choose something small. Not if you're in your 40s like me. Right now, it's go big or go home. And sometimes the small things don't give you enough confidence to keep going. So I say, make a list of the things that you fear the most and do one of those things, whether it's every day, every week, every month, whatever, that's up to you. But do something that you're afraid of the most, that you're afraid of rejection of or criticism of the most. Because that, once you do that thing and you prove to yourself that you can do that thing, then you know that you can do all the other things on that list. So I say take the big leap, take the big jump, take bold action. If you fail, then you still have learned from that experience and you learn something valuable for the next time. So don't shrink. And then the last thing, visibility. Don't expect perfection for anything. Your good enough is probably someone else's perfection. And I had to learn that the hard way. I would rewrite things, rewrite it again, reread it before I would submit it in, and then it'd get marked up anyway. So impact over perfection, be visible. If you're afraid of public speaking, try it anyways. Do it anywhere you can because visibility is critical to your brand as a real estate professional. Okay, so now that we all have the same foundation of the confidence trifecta of what leadership foundations look like, let's dive deeper. So I'm gonna, this is a quote, kind of a mantra that I have about authenticity. So if you ever notice leaders that you gravitate to the most, you actually feel they're authentic. You don't feel like they're trying, like they're scripted, like they're guarded. You feel like they're just themselves, right? You feel like they're just authentic. And so for you as a real estate agent, that's critically important because when people feel that you're authentic, they're inclined to trust you. And trust builds loyalty. And I see this, and Rob does this so well. He's in a stage in his career where he has repeat clients, right? And repeat referrals because he's built that authentic loyalty and trust with his clients. And so authenticity is embedded in consistently aligning with your values. And that's why I had you do that exercise at the beginning of this course, is because you need to know what authentic looks like to you. And you need to know if you're not in alignment with what you want authenticity to look like when people see you. And so going through that exercise periodically is going to help you stay aware of where you are in relation to your values. And it's going to let you know if things are shifting over time. And the business benefit of that is long-term loyalty. Okay. All right, now let's shift from mindset to strategies, because I know that's what you guys are really here for. So when it comes to strategy, I actually just got through listening to a fantastic audiobook that was very timely in putting this presentation together. And it's called At Your Best. And what it talks about is not just time management. A lot of us think, oh, we're managing against the time. We've only got so much time in the day to get things done. And so we're managing against the time, but we're not paying attention to our energy. And so if you think about it, if time is the most valuable asset that we have every single day, and we all have the same amount of it, what differentiates someone from being more effective, more impactful? It's your energy. How you use your energy for achieving the hardest things, the most creative things, and the things that are going to give you the greatest impact. So energy is your greatest resource. So energy is the gasoline or the oil to your engine. And so if your oil is all cruddy and it's mucked up, even though you can go the same distance, you might not get there as fast or efficient. And so we have to think more about our time and our energy in relation to how we use our time. And so with that, I want to give you something to help. And I just said it a little bit ago, it's considering, if we all have the same amount of hours in the day, and there are some people who are millionaires, billionaires, and they're doing, amazing things and they're visible. And so do you have enough time in the day to get done what you need? If you feel like every day you're like, I don't have enough time, I just don't have enough time. If you reconsider and think, we all have the same amount of time. So how do you not have enough time, but Rob has enough time and Mel has enough time? Is it really time? Or is it really how you're using your energy through that time? And this was mind-blowing for me. And so in this book, At Your Best, the author talks about there's this time energy wheel that we're constantly in every single day, and we're not aware of it. So I want you to take a moment, think as I'm talking, what times of the day do you feel you're most energetic, you're most focused, and you're most effective? It's usually a span of about 3 to 5 or 6 hours, usually not more than that. So if you think about and write that, yes, okay, 4 p.m., somebody's already morning. Some people are morning people, right? So they'd rather get up early when it's quiet and they're fresh. So yes, 5 to 1. Okay, so you guys are aware of that particular part of your day where you feel like you can conquer the world. You want to be intentional about blocking that time for the things that, like I said, require the most thoughts, that are the most important, that require the most creativity, because your brain is alert. And then that's our green zone. And so as we shift from that green zone, our energy starts to go down a little bit, right? And so that's our yellow zone. That's when we start to get distracted. We start looking on TikTok. We start looking at Facebook and Instagram. And so we're out of that green zone. We're still a little productive, but we're starting to get distracted, right? And so being cognizant of your zone. So that's your yellow zone. You can do that. You can use that time for answering emails. You can use that time for, doing mundane tasks that don't require a lot of creativity and brain power. And then your red zone is usually that time when you're getting ready to wind down. You're still trying to push through. Maybe you're on your second or third cup of coffee or Red Bull, whatever your vice is for energy. But that red zone, you really don't want to be doing anything focused, anything that requires deep thought, right? And so just being transparent, aware of your zones, how your energy moves throughout the day will help you be more effective at the tasks that are most important to you rather than the things that may be most important or urgent to others. So block that time, protect that time of day when you are in your green zone. Okay, let's talk habits. So when it comes to habits, what I want you to do is remember what you practice, you will repeat. What we practice, we will repeat. And so it's very important and critical for me, and I don't even think Rob knows this, but as soon as I get out of bed, I'm in a state of morning gratitude. The first thing out of my mouth, I intentionally thank you, God, for giving me another day. And I purposely position my mindset into a state of gratitude. And that's how I like to start my day. Because sometimes I get down on my knees and pray if I have time. If I've, rolled out of bed late, I might not, but I'm talking to God in the car on the way to work. But for me, that it's very important to have that. Yes, Melrose. So it's very important for me to have that state of gratitude right from the start. And for some of you, visualization is going to help a lot too, especially if you know you have a challenging day coming up, or you're going to be working with a challenging client um, or colleague, a negotiation, right? So you want to get your mindset in a state of gratitude and visualize what the end looks like, right? Begin with the end in mind. How do you see your day going? How do you want your day to go? Because I have a little acronym. It's speak. That's your, manifestation, your morning gratitude. Speak, believe, or visualize for some of you, and then act and receive. So how you speak and believe is going to reflect what you act out throughout your day. And so that's why it's so critically important for effective leaders to start with gratitude. Because if you consider the people that you see as the best leaders, they're usually positive, right? They exude positivity. And so in real estate, one of the easiest ways to convince someone to do what you want is to make them trust you, get them excited, get them hopeful about what the outcome is going to be, right? Make them happy. And you can't do that if you're in a negative state, right? And so kind of trying always to see the positive. Rob does this really well. I keep giving him shout outs, so he's gonna have to pay me later. But just exuding positivity, always being positive. And you do that by intentionally focusing your brain that way. There's a saying someone says, and it's the most influential voice in the world is your own voice. That's why they said whether you say you can or you can't, you're right. Right? We believe ourselves. We trust ourselves. I hope you do. And so the most influential voice is your own. So why not use your voice first thing in the morning to set the tone for your whole day? So communication and presence. I want to get there. So I said it earlier in I think the beginning of the presentation, the best negotiators are usually the best listeners in the room. So if you struggle with active listening, Robert Johnson, if you struggle with active listening, I'm going to give you a tip to become a better listener. And it's called mirroring. So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of mirroring or used mirroring before, but basically it's repeating what you just heard the other person say. So if you're talking with a client and they're saying, I'm really, struggling with this decision, I'm having a hard time deciding if I want to sell, now or later. And so you would say, after they're done, talking, so I understand you're struggling. And I understand, this is a difficult decision. You're thinking about whether, you want to sell now or later. And so it's doing two things. It's conveying trust to them because they feel like you heard them. They know you understand. They feel like you understand them. It's doing three things. It's putting them in a state of agreement with you now, too. So yes, you want people to be able to say, yes, you understand me, because then that builds trust that way too. And thirdly, it's helping you with your active listening. So try mirroring. If you're one of those people who struggles with communication, because communication is actually very important in your career, and listening is going to help you gain that trust and loyalty and long-term loyalty that you're going after. And awareness of your nonverbals. So you all see me doing this a little bit. If you're one of those people who do that a lot, a tip to help you not overcompensate with your hands and use more articulation in your words in the beginning is to sit on your hands. And so what that does is it takes the focus off of your hands. It makes you sit up straight and be more intentional and aware of how you're using your words. And the best leaders are clear communicators. They use their words very deliberately. They don't say a lot of ums. And so I think that's a great tip that I've learned in the past. If you're one of those people who, like me, you get very passionate and you tend to talk over people, mute yourself. Because muting yourself, one, makes you aware that you're getting ready to speak over someone. So just mute yourself from the beginning of the call. Come off of mute when it's your turn to speak. So that helps, also with the trust building, right? People feel heard when they're able to get their full sentence out without you interjecting, right? And so just communication and presence, just some signals to be aware of. And then when it comes to continuous improvement, as I mentioned, embrace discomfort. Do the thing that's fearful. Take bold action and develop that risk-taking muscle, because it is a muscle. And I learned this late in my career. And you're never too late unless, you're deceased. But I learned this late in my career, and I wish that I had practiced using that risk-taking muscle earlier in my career, but we can still develop it. And so, like I said, some people may need to start small if you're a timid person, but if you're a person that wants big results, sometimes you have to take big risks. And so with that, so I want to leave time for questions and see if there's any area that you guys want me to go into more details or provide resources on. But I want to make sure I leave you with clear call to action. So I challenge you, be clear in your values, understand your true north, lead with clarity. Your competence is going to build your confidence, and lead with courage. Take bold action. Focus your time, but also your energy. Block your most high productive time and use that for the tasks or the conversations that need to be had that require your deepest thought or your most focused creativity. Create your own daily success routines. Mine is starting with gratitude. Yours might be taking a run or going for exercise, whatever that looks like for you, that puts you in a positive mindset. Be consistent, because what we practice, we repeat. And lastly, start today. Don't delay it. Don't make it a to-do task for tomorrow or for next Monday. do something different today and lead where you are. That's it. Let's go lead. And I'll open it up for questions. And I'll just leave the slide up with my contact information.
You want to tell us
And
about your
Mel
book?
and Rob, I don't know how you
Tell
want
us
to
about your book.
questions, if you want them to type in the chat or come off mute.
Reese, you want to tell us about your book?
Yes. So we have a big benefit for you all today. So I agreed with Mel to provide 24 copies of our book that I did with Lisa Nichols, Against All Odds. It's an anthology. It's a prescription for whatever challenge that you're facing. There are stories in there of women and people who were in the 9/11 that came out of it alive, and their loved ones did not. Their friends and colleagues didn't survive, and they came through that, triumphed over that. There's stories in there about doctors and women who've lost loved ones, and love stories about those who've lost people and their spouse that was dying actually found their new husband. It's just a beautiful anthology. My chapter is called The Courage and Power to Persist, and it's a story, a compilation of different stages I was in my life and my career where I had to take bold action, where I had to take risk, where I had to do things that I was fearful of. Situations and relationships I had to walk away from because they were detrimental to my survival and my health. It's just a great book about different challenges that we've all gone through and survived, so that you know that you can get through it and survive too and come out even better.